All right. Hello, Ross, you got to unmute
I
yourself.
am.
There you
There
go.
we go.
Hello, Louisa. Oh,
Hello, hello.
and we got Jason. There we go. Welcome, everyone, to Down the Rabbit Hole. We will get started in about 2 minutes just to give some other people a chance to jump on here. If you are watching this on a stream, the link is in the description and I'll put up on the screen here as well. Let me just share that right there. That's where you can come and join us for a live conversation that will cover anything and everything involved in the infinity matrix. So,
Down, down, down we go.
or up, 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 or in, or out, out, out. It really depends, right? But you
That's the
guys
fun
can.
of it.
It is an open discussion, so when you jump on, or if you're watching this on the stream, then you have the option of, well, if you're on, you can jump on audio and video and join us in the conversation, or just audio if you just want to keep audio, as well as in the text section, and then we'll respond to those texts if you're a little camera shy. It's totally understandable. But we want you to be involved in the conversation, and if you're watching this on stream, then in the chat, we'll do our best to keep an eye on that and respond to that as well as we go. All right. So again, hackingtheinfinitematrix.com/rabbit hole. And just that's where you'll register for the Zoom to get the Zoom link to jump on. Excellent. We got Carolyn coming on. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. And we need to do attendees, participants. Great. All right. So today we start off with the topic. And remember, it doesn't just because we start the topic, it's definitely not the only topic we can talk about. We're open for this going anywhere. And that's really the purpose of this presentation or this call, if you will, so that we can kind of explore and go wherever you want us to go with the conversation. If you have something you want to ask about from previous streams that we've done, then definitely bring it up. We can go into that. If there's something that we haven't covered yet and you want to talk about and start to bring to light, because we do have a ton of topics that we just haven't gotten to yet that we already have in store. And yeah, and it's for you to share what's going on for you. If you want to share as far as the hacks that you've done, tried out and tested that we've shared, and what they've done for you, um, how you can tweak them, how you can refine them. So yeah, so it's really open for anything. Where we want it to be this open conversation platform. So
One
today
of the
we did
reasons
want.
one of the reasons that we like this so much is that we don't have to do any preparing. So that's kind of how we go into it too, the same as you, is that, you might have a question, we might have an answer, but we learn from you just as much as you learn from us. And so there is no preparation for this. So it is just an absolute open conversation.
Absolutely. And so today, I mean, we do like to kind of get the ball rolling, if anything,
Mhm.
is we do have the focus today is going to be starting to talk about choice convergence points. So we talk about it a lot in our streams, and we get questions about it all the time, to get clarity on what it is, how do they get to it, all that kind of stuff. And we thought it would be a really good idea. So I'm just doing a little techie stuff here. So if I seem a little distracted, I'm just sorting things out so that I can make sure that I'm keeping track of attendees as well as chats. If you want to get started on that, then Ross, just
So
convergence
the
point.
choice convergence point is, um, to a certain degree, it's where we all want to ultimately end up. It's kind of our one of our goals. It's kind of a stepping stone to kind of an ultimate enlightenment to a degree. It's a place where if you think of a storm, you think of a hurricane. I don't know if anybody's ever been in a hurricane. I have. And the outer edge of the hurricane is the storm. I mean, that's what does all the damage. It does damage and damage and damage. And we can kind of take that and compare it to last year. Last year was a perfect example. It was just a lot of storm going and a lot of things were being disrupted. Well, then you get past that edge of that storm, and in the center, in the eye of that hurricane, is calm, absolute peace. You would have no idea that there's a storm going around you, with the exception that the sky is very gray. But there's no wind, there's no turbulence, and that's the choice convergence point, is where you can stand in the center of that storm and you can observe the storm. And from there, you're not so wrapped up in the chaos. You can make far, far greater decisions and choices. That's why we call it a choice convergence point, because all this information that you're taking in from looking at the storm and everything that's coming in from the matrix is coming into you there in this calmness, and you can make a choice, a decision on which direction that you want to go, or what you think is going to be the best for the reality that you're trying to create. And that's the direction that everybody, in our opinion, should aim for, to
It,
just
it tends to be, in our experience, the more resourceful place to come from.
exactly.
And really that's what it's about, is just being more resourceful in your options and your ability to function and also navigate your reality.
Right. And it's difficult to be resourceful, and it's difficult to navigate if you're in the storm.
Yep.
If you're participating and you're choosing to participate in the storm or the chaos or whatever part it may be. And to a huge degree, um, you can step into that place in your mind, not physically, but in your mind of, this is where I'm going to be, and I'm going to watch all of you kind of scurry around and bump into each other, while you're just making that very calm decision. When you're stuck and you're just like, oh my god, 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 it's just, how do you make a decision? Because now you're getting very, very emotional. And if we take this and we look at the biological aspect of it, you're going into relatively a primal mode. You're going into where, like when we get upset, all the blood in our brain rushes to the back of our brain, where we have our primal brain and our reptilian brain, or a mammalian brain. And all that blood goes there, comes out of your most of it comes out of your neocortex and such, which does all of your logical thinking, and it's back here. And so you don't have all the resources that you need to make a good decision. So you're going to make an emotional decision. And when we make emotional decisions, in most cases, they can be rash. We don't see everything. We're just like, I'm just going to decide now. And anytime I come up with somebody that says, you know what, I don't want to make a decision right now. I need to kind of contemplate this, or think about this, or absorb this. I'm like, cool, that's great, that's fantastic, man. That's kind of what I do. That's what we do. So it's kind of like, think of it like this: is that when you might get into an argument with somebody, and you go through it all, you're all upset, they're upset, and you're upset, and then they walk away, and then you think of 10 things you should have said after they walked away. And that's because, again, all that blood was back there, really kind of starting to trigger the flight response, possibly, the fight or flight responses and such. And so it's getting ready for battle. That's how the brain is wired. And so it's getting ready. So it's putting all the blood back there. It's putting all your different resources. Your adrenaline starts to pump up. All of that is to physically prepare you for what you're going to do. And although that's not really what you're going to do, I'm not saying that you're going to fight somebody physically, but you may have a mental confrontation with them, or the scenario around you.
Yeah, it's preparing to respond, right? It's preparing to and decide on what that's going to be, and it can only it can make assumptions based on past references as to whether it should do the fight or the flight. It's really just an assumption. And it's not based in reality at all, because it's, the more and more evidence to show that even what you see on a day-to-day basis isn't really what's out there. So it's
Right.
um,
Well,
the
it's almost, to a certain degree, it's pulling from the past, and it's actually kind of living in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's trying to predict, right?
It's trying to
It's
predict.
assuming that this is going to be that way, and so therefore it has to do something. It can't be, and even freezing is something. So that's still a choice, but the process of getting ready. Let me just add Darcy back in there. The process of getting ready is what Ross is talking about. It's in that decision mode. When you practice getting to the choice convergence point, which is what we talk about on a regular basis, your ability to get there faster and faster and have more access to different resources is greatly increased, right? And because it's greatly increased, you have the ability then to, in our opinion, make better decisions for the reality you want to choose. Did you have Darcy? You raised your hand. Did you have a question?
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm so glad I caught you. Actually, it's serendipitous because I just made a really big decision.
Okay.
And so, last night I was kind of ruminating on all that, second guessing everything, and your live popped up. So I'm not going to be able to stay long, but I'm supposed to be here. So,
Awesome.
So my question is this. So I love what you're saying, about like kind of like being in the eye and making those decisions from the eye there. And so I had to make a really big life-changing decision yesterday, and I've spent time. It wasn't a rash decision. It was, it felt really well thought out. And now, after I made that decision, it's just all the second guessing, like everything that I thought made so much sense. It is just like, and I am all about this manifesting mastery. It's like, of all people, like I know I understand this, but yet when you're in it,
Yeah.
Right.
man, I am all over the place with this. And so I just wanted to just, kind of tap into what you thought about that. When we do make a sound, solid decision, I've tapped in, I got a good yes on it, and then the door's shut and it's like,
Yeah. So what can tend to happen when you do that is, as soon as you make the decision, the thing you need to be this is the part that you might find here, is that when you make that decision, sometimes we attach an outcome to that decision, an expected outcome, and that's what you're getting the reaction to, right? Because you have an expected outcome of this showing up a certain way, happening a certain, and that's your conscious mind getting in there now, and then pulling in some of those doubts and stuff like that, and the old messages, the old patterns that start to show up. So it really doesn't have anything to do with making the decision at that point. It's releasing from the attachment to it being a certain way, and just allowing it to be what it is. Because what it is may be that, hey, this new decision takes me in this direction for 10 minutes. And then I realize that, okay, based on new decisions, new experiences, new whatever, I need to go somewhere else. But you're starting from a new place, and that's what you needed. You needed to make that shift in vibration, in frequency, and so think of it like a train track, right? So you had to get on that track to go to a new destination, otherwise you wouldn't have gotten there. But if you get on that track and you expect that track to end up at a specific destination, it's like you're going against the track, and that's what you're feeling.
And all that fear and that anxiety that you felt after the fact, that was all just your imagination. All of that is you, for that moment, living in the past, and taking all those pieces of the past, because that fear and anxiety was for the future, right?
exactly right.
Exactly. But the future, it's not here yet.
That's right.
None of that has happened yet. So you're taking all your past experiences, and that's all being filtered, and all these pieces of puzzles are kind of being, kind of being pushed together. It's like, this is what could happen, and this is what could happen. And to a certain degree, there's a reason for that, because your subconscious mind is like, I need to keep you safe. Remember when this happened? Remember when this happened? Remember when this happened? Remember, you need to be safe. I don't like the fact that you're stretching out there. I want to pull you back. And so it's going to bring in that fear, that anxiety, and such as, this is what could happen. Oh my gosh, did you think about this part, this part, this part?
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's
So,
just,
and so that if you hear in Ross's voice, it's even what it is the questions you're asking are not the right questions, right? So if you were on our stream yesterday, one of the aspects that we talked about in the 6 actions for mastering reality was the ability to really shift the type of questions that you ask in order to get the response you want. So, you want to, at the place you're at, you want to create what we call, bridge resources. And so when you find yourself in those states, the way to recode that in the matrix is to shift to say, for example, the what if model. No, what if the synchronicity of this is exactly what it needs to be, right? What if the experience that's happening right now can happen gracefully and even more fulfilling than I expected? Because when you go in with those types of questions, you're not going to get the anxiety.
exactly. And most of us we're programmed. We're programmed to, what if this goes wrong? 95% of everyone is programmed that way. That came from our childhood primarily, and previous experiences. But again, you're in the past. But what Gary's saying is spot on. It's like, what if it could go, we're not a this or that, we're a both and. It's like, what if this could happen? What if this turns into be better than what I expected?
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Let me follow that thought process for a little bit. And then you're going to start whatever this decision was, you're going to start it on such a more positive note. I'm going to look for all the good in this. I'm going to look where this can take me.
You'll look for the opportunities, what you'll do, as opposed to the pitfalls, right?
Right.
And so by doing that, you start to recondition your brain so that when, I guess the best way to put it is, I have a background in hypnotherapy, right? And one of the practices we would teach is called the relaxation response. The relaxation response is where, in order to get someone to train themselves to get into a relaxed state, what we would do is we would go to both extremes. So so we would say, okay, what I want you to do first is I want you to tighten up as much as you can until you can't hold it in, and then let it go. Because then the brain knows, oh, instead of this, I want this. Right? So thoughts are no different. When you have this thought, you think about it, but then, okay, instead of that, I want this. So instead of that, what if? Instead of that, what if? And you start to recondition so that that becomes the default when you decide to be in a state of decision.
Now, one of the thing to keep in mind for everybody that's listening as well is that we are not telling you to ignore the possibility of this thing going bad. Okay, that would be foolish. We're saying and suggesting that you simply are aware that they exist. Okay. However, they are not controlling you. They are not pushing you in one direction or another. Your mind is, not your emotions. So, yes, this could go. I'm just going to set that over here. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to put it in the closet and lock the door and, never look at it again, because it's always going to be in the closet and you're always going to think about that closet. It's like, no, it's there. Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, because choice convergence is not about taking away choices.
Exactly. Right? or information or data. It's just showing all of it.
Yeah.
It would be like having a council of 12 in front of you. Okay. And you agree with 10 of them, but the other 2, absolutely, I do not agree with you. But you don't kick them off the council. They're there for a reason. they're there simply to still be part of the guiding of you and your decisions that you're making. So guys, I really appreciate your input. I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay. And your job is to keep me on my toes.
Luisa, you had a question or a comment?
Oh, yeah. Hi,
Hey.
I'm Luisa Vega, and this is my very first time here. I don't know if you, well, I assume that you guys know each other. This is my first time. And as
Me and
Darcy
Gary?
said,
Only Ross and I know each other. Everybody else
okay.
everybody else is just jumping on.
I don't know which way to point, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is, as Darcy said, I mean, I stopped believing in casualities for a while. Now I believe in like more synchronicity.
Mhm.
Like life is putting me things if you pay attention. And I'm listening to you guys and reading what you are posting. Honestly, I stopped visiting Facebook for a while, but when I enter, it's just to check my memories that bring me some joy, and also to check some of the posts that you guys
Well, thank you.
share.
Thank you very much.
And one of the, oh, you're welcome. No, thank you. I mean, this is amazing to find people that are discovering and thinking the way I'm discovering and thinking my life now. It's very interesting. And everything that you're saying, I think my opinion is that it's based on trust. I stopped believing, for example, and I was always in resistance. I noticed myself now that I was resisting everything because I had expectations that I made on my mind, like ideas or that society or how the way things should be. So I was trying to go that way and resisting to whatever brings life bring me in my way.
Right.
And now I'm more like trusting and believing. That doesn't mean that I'm on the couch just scratching my belly and waiting for things to happen. But I'm more open to curiosity. What is going on, and what if I go this way? Let's see what happens. And it's a very strange feeling. It's a mix of uncertainty and excitement at the same time. I'm scared, but I'm excited to see what's next. But I'm glad that I'm not the only one and I'm not going crazy. So that's all.
Well, you know, that's part of why we
you're not going crazy,
so that Ross and I could know that we're not the only two crazy people.
You know, it's a you hit it right on the head. You know, it's when we're looking at the things that are going around us, you know, whether we agree with it or not, you're still going to kind of go, you know, that's really interesting. Okay, I'm aware it's there. Okay, I'm aware, you know, when people you know, especially in over the last, you know, few years where we've become so, you know, relatively divided. It's kind of like one way or the other, and there's no middle ground anymore. And you're just like, you know, I'm just going to stay in the middle. The middle is the choice convergence point. It's the middle going, well, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting too. All right, good. I'm aware that you're both there. You both have great opinions, and that's it. And
another analogy,
because everybody wants to draw you into that side or this side. You have to believe me. No, you have to believe me. And you're just like, you know, I'm just going to sit right here. I'm just going to sit right here because I would prefer to have a conversation about two opposing views than anything else, and take in the information from both and make my own decision. And a lot of people want to get you riled up, get you, you know, kind of bring up that anxiety a little bit. Then again, what happens? Your body responds, the blood goes to the back of the brain, and now you're more making emotional decisions. And we don't normally make very good emotional decisions.
Isn't that funny that the more that you know yourself, the more that you understand the people? I mean, that happened to me. I used to be more stubborn into some things that I wanted my way. But when I stopped and learned, where is this coming from? Why do I want this thing to be that perfect or that way if I'm not feeling okay? So I started releasing that kind of stuff and getting to know myself. Right. And that way allows me to understand other people that they might be in the same place, you know, like resisting and trying to follow something.
Luisa, think of it like this. The more you know yourself, the more powerful you are. the less the external world can do anything to you. And you continually know yourself, and you continually, you know, I'm stepping away from it, and that stuff just bounces off you, you know.
And then I like to throw some paradox in there. And the more you realize you don't know yourself, the more powerful you are, because that allows you to invite the unknown. Because you know, you talked about this part of being you know, scared and excited at the same time, right? A couple of streams ago we talked about this where we talked about, you know, making the unknown your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Instead of something you shy away from. That unknown is you exploring your potential, your capacity, you know, for things that you haven't yet experienced or explored, right? That's the on the edge of unknown is growth, right? It's evolution, it's expansion, it's more experience of what is. Right? So we want to invite that. We want to welcome that. We want to look for more opportunities where we are in the unknown, right? And yes, it is that, it's that you walk the line between that scared, nervous, and that excited, I got to do it. But that's the choice convergence, because you and Darcy's feeling that right now.
Darcy's going, yeah.
But
that's a great feeling, though,
because you're living life. Then you're living life. You're on the edge of living and bringing who you are to the table. That's where that's why what you're feeling is life energy, right? Instead of complacency energy and being stuck in this box and doing what you normally do, right? Which leans more towards atrophy instead of growth, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, guys. Hey, I just want to say thanks again for that. My connection's a little bit unstable here, so hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah,
but
sure.
you know, I really appreciate this conversation, because I guess sometimes what's frustrating is that, you know, I know this stuff, you know, I mean, and I teach this stuff, that, you know, what you guys are teaching.
Oh,
So I
cool.
love your conversation so much, and I love this piece of it. I think that's why sometimes I get frustrated, because it's like, God, you know, like I know this stuff, you know, but I think just to hear it, you know, just to hear it. But that's like today, I'm like, come on, Darcy, it's like, you know, it's like everything that you said, but still it's like, God, sometimes you find yourself so in it, and then you can observe yourself being in it.
Right.
Like, God.
Well, all coaches need coaches.
Yeah,
all coaches have coaches.
Exactly,
all experts have experts, you know, above them. So that's what it's all about, is sharing information. And that's what Gary and I love to do, is just simply like, listen, we're not, you know, and if you're new to us, you know, we've always said, it's like, we're not telling you what to think. We're just showing you how to think a little differently. Okay. To be able to step back and look at decision making a little bit differently. Okay. Everything is a choice. Choice this, choice this. So this is my choice, and this is my choice. This one takes me here. This one takes me here. Which one do I feel is the best one? But if you have 1,000 things going on around you, and the wind's blowing, and little pieces are hitting you, and people are yelling at you, and all that kind of stuff, you're just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, and you go with the easy. In those situations, you go with the easiest option.
Or the most comfortable. The most comfortable, that, you know, the subconscious, like, you know, I'm familiar with this. Let's just go this direction.
Exactly, which is the easiest for the unconscious.
Right, because I don't want to go. I don't have to stretch. This is just too much chaos for me to have to stretch. Yeah. So let's go for the easy one. And generally is not going to be as rewarding. You're going to kind of like, oh, this is like.
Well, good for you, Darcy, for being aware of it and tuning into that and tapping into that and being in a place where you could open up for the universe to say, hey, here's the support you need at this time. Because it doesn't matter who you are and how evolved you get, that there's always a time and a place when you need someone to throw you a life jacket.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it really is everything Ross and I do, because Ross and I spend Fridays after we talk here, majority of our Fridays, looking at how can we build and grow the community aspect of the group, and what can we bring to the group, and what can we bring to the conversation, to get people, you know, in alignment with certain things. And we do that because ultimately our goal and our desire, the vision, the reality that we've created, that we're moving towards, and the portals that we're setting up to enter into, is one where we have a global community where situations like you where, hey, you know what, guys, I get all this stuff. I'm listening, I'm doing the proxying, but today is just a day I need someone to help me. I need a conversation. I need someone to give me a different perspective and to be able to go there and get it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah,
Absolutely.
well,
Like I said, super, super appreciative of it. You know, like I said, it wasn't coincidence, you know, so
No.
yeah. And I'll just tell you, know, it's, I've really manifested this pretty extraordinary life. So much so too, I mean, kind of the processes that I've used. That's why I love helping and teaching people this stuff, because I, like you guys, it's like, you know, we live in such a magical reality that, I mean, that we really can be, do, have whatever it is that we want.
Yes.
And so, like I said, I'm in that process of manifesting this, you know, right now, made this decision. So just the short of it is 2 years ago, well, I used to weigh 300 pounds.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I've lost 130. I ended up becoming a model, a bona fide traveling showgirl in my late 40s even. I ditched everything I owned 2 years ago. I bought an RV and I just hit the road to travel and definitely to just go check things off the bucket list. I call it going on a living spree. And so currently I've been staying at this cabin that I manifested. This is it's a whole incredible story in itself, but I could talk for hours on this subject. But yeah, so I've had to make that decision to leave here, you know, and hit the road again. But that is, you know, that's where all that wisdom comes in, you know, of all that knowledge. And the reason that I travel the way that I do is for that neuroplasticity. You know, I'm constantly, I literally move every 2 weeks like that to just keep it changing, breaking up loops and patterns and, you know, just wiping out the subconscious.
That's awesome.
You know, Darcy, here's the synchronicity for you. Just last night, I watched that movie Nomadland.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And which is about someone who is homeless per se and such, traveling. And I swear, I'm just going, you know, that's actually kind of cool. I'm like, you know, I mean, that's actually, you know, going out, I mean, granted, there were some downsides to it, but if you do it right, apparently the way you're doing it, you know, it's not quite as tough, but still, just you know, someone said, you know, listen, you know, I think that there was a point where her van broke down and the guy says, listen, this is going to cost more for your van to fix it than it's worth. She goes, you understand? She goes, that's my home. She goes, I'm not going to give up my home. That means there's memories there of every place that I've been, and I've made it the way it is and such. And I'm just like, that's really freaking cool. You know,
well, that is my life. That is the life that I live. And so I do what's called boondocking. So it's like how she lives. So that's, you know, like off grid, like that.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And it was just a piece of the story. And so, like I said, I came across you guys. And like I said, I love what you teach. I love what you share, you know, and I love being able to, again, this is what I share with people in my world as well. I'm just kind of trying to manifest more, being able to teach and share. So thank you for the opportunity for me to hop in here, because like you said, sometimes you just, you know, even the coaches need coaches, you know, and needing that life jacket. So I really appreciate you guys.
Well, we'll expect to see you every week from now on.
Okay, I'll be here. And like I said, I will have to hop off just because I've got a class actually that I'm teaching here in just a little bit. So
you got it. Thank you so much for participating.
Joining in, and we're appreciative that you
it's a pleasure to meet you.
Trusted us to jump on and look for that support.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Carolyn, do you have anything to add? You can use the chat box if you'd like. If you have some questions, if you don't have video capabilities or don't want video capabilities, or you can just use your audio as well. So please feel free. We're not going to force it. We had a few weeks back, we had somebody who had been on the call for 45 minutes before he finally jumped in. And then we went, another 45 minutes after that. So
close to that.
Yeah, it's quite all right.
Yeah.
Luisa, more questions from you or comments?
Well, I have a ton of questions. I mean,
we got a ton of time.
Well, my head is full of, I don't know, a lot of stuff that I need to take care of and plan ahead. I'm just, honestly, I'm just starting. I can tell this kind of discovering journey.
Mhm.
For the past year or so, I started to be more focused into that because I started to see the benefits and how I felt way better and lighter
Mhm.
with my in my mind.
Right.
And it's funny because it really, it's true. I mean, there are a lot of people that they, when I express myself in a certain way, they might feel like I might be going cuckoo or something. Because I'm like, yeah, I love to come when I'm overwhelmed to, I live in the, well, we all live in the Pacific Northwest, am I right?
No, everywhere. We have people from all over the world
Mhm.
that join in on our stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm in the Northwest.
Okay.
I'm in
Well,
Seattle. Gary's up in
oh,
Canada near Vancouver.
oh,
So we're
I'm
all
in
kind of in
Seattle.
the same region of the planet.
You're from where,
Yeah,
Lisa?
I'm in Seattle.
Oh, so you're
You're in
close to
Seattle as
us.
well.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, every time I feel very overwhelmed, I just go out to the woods and I
Mhm.
start looking at the trees, and I'm a tree hugger.
Nice.
So
That's good.
that's the part that sometimes, yeah, sometimes my kids are like, "Oh, mom, are you hugging a tree again?" And I yeah. And I just feel that connection. Honestly, I like to press my heart against the tree, and I feel like something is happening. I
I
mean,
always, whenever I'm in confusion or kind of stuck somewhere, I always go into nature. Uh,
yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
really is. It just brings a calmness to us. Yeah. And this is
Yeah,
definitely a place for it.
yeah,
Good
that's
for
one
you.
thing that I mean, all my life I I really enjoy and admire nature, but lately it's a different feeling. For example, when I see the sky, I can see the effect. I was explaining one of my boys the other day. When I went, I don't know if you ever visited Las Vegas, but there's this hotel that it has like a fake sky painted on
Mhm.
the ceiling.
Right.
And I remember the first time that I entered that building, I was like, it's like in your mind is like a feeling like it looks like the sky, but it's not the sky. So it's like 3D kind of thing. Now I sometimes when I'm outside, I can see the sky in this way. Like it's impressive that that's above us, and behind that there's the universe. So it's I feel like connected sometimes, even though
Good.
we are tiny specks versus the whole of the planet. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, we're powerful and we're connected in some way. So
Yeah.
it's hard to explain, I guess. I don't know, but it's
Well,
a
we're
feeling.
understanding.
Yeah,
You know, and
it's
when you
connected.
say that people look at you funny or think you're kind of crazy, it's simply because they don't understand. You have a
Yeah,
different perception than they do, and they will ultimately. You know,
hopefully.
your kids will, eventually kind of go, oh, now I know what she was talking about.
Yeah,
Okay, might not
yeah.
be
Sometimes,
tomorrow, might not
yeah,
be next week, might not be next year. But they will, and you just, you continue to be the way that you are and the way that express yourself, because it sounds like um, you know kind of got to another level of
oh,
perception of your world, and there's nothing wrong with that. Gary, what
yeah.
do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I was going to ask though, Louisa, what made the shift for you? Because you said it's new for you. What made the shift?
Oh, well, um, a lot of things came up into my life at once, kind of at once. It's funny because I started like a year and a half ago, before the pandemic stuff
Mhm.
started.
Got it.
I started to feel in a certain way like odd, honestly, like off, like something was not right. I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was feeling down. It was very confusing for me. I started noticing that. So I remember starting, like by synchronicity, I guess, I started listening a podcast, and this guy had a guest one time, and this guest was talking about his book. And then I grabbed the book, and during that time, all the things that started falling on me, it was like I I got my marriage. My husband moved out of the house, and then the pandemic hit, and then I got a diagnosis of breast cancer. And then I had a problem with my eye that I needed a vitrectomy. That's a surgery that it was kind of risky. So it was a lot of stuff at the same time. And I was like, but that connection with the podcast and the book of this guy, and I was reading the book. It was funny because I was reading the book exactly when, right before I was diagnosed with the breast cancer. The next chapter in the book, this guy was talking about how the mind is very powerful over your body in order to heal and help yourself, and how it's connected your emotions, your stress with whatever happens, especially with cancer. And I was like, wow. And it was, everything started, I started to pay attention then. Okay, this is not a casuality that I have, a coincidence that I have this book. It's a synchronicity. It's someone or something is sending me this information for me to be curious and start learning that. And I was very happy that my outcome of the cancer treatment, whatever, I'm in remission right now. So
Good.
I got my surgery on my eye, and it went very well. And I'm moving forward with the situation with my husband, soon to be ex-husband. And I'm taking things way differently that I used to. I used to be more intense and react more like, oh no, it's the end of the world. Why is this happening to me? And now it's more like, why is this happening to me? It's more like, let's find out, and trusting that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And the more that I resist, the worse that I will be experiencing my life. So
Correct.
I try to relax myself and say, this is happening because this is the best for me. This is in order for me to grow or to move on and to help others around me and to be a better version of myself. So, and since then I started one thing connected to the other, and I have read a lot of books. I'm not a coach as you guys. I'm just learning. I really enjoy learning, and I have like 3 books that I'm in the middle of all of them, and that's the part that I need to settle down and be more organized, because I mean,
Okay, so
I really,
let me interject there. So because I think you're putting some expectations and judgment on things, you're shifting into that now. So here's from what you've told me, right? What it sounds like is that your spirit self, what we call your spiritually evolving life force, yourself, SELF, spiritually evolving life force, right? Your life force, yourself, has given you this experience where you had to start to tune into your intuition. And that's when you start to notice the bizarreness and the strangeness and stuff that was going on. Maybe even had some intuition of some global energetics of what was going to happen in the following year. Possibly that was it too for you, right? You were tuned into that. Then in that awakening of your intuition, it was a way for you to say, okay, well, with all that stuff going on, what I need to do is I need to do some self-reflection on the relationship I have with myself and the relationship I have with others. All right. And in that, and that's, that's where you start to feel the little bit out, and maybe the relationship started to happen with you, the clarity start to come with you and your husband, and what the reality of it was, right? And then how to deal with that. And then the impact of the stuff with your eye was, again, the spiritual self saying your vision for that reality needed correction, right? And that vision for that reality, correcting that, then you also need to have the clear vision, but you also need to have a clear heart. And so then it showed up in this situation with your heart, that needed to get resolved, and energy needed to be put on there, attention needed to be put on there, right? And by doing that, by tapping into your intuition, by connecting with the relationship with yourself and with others, by having clear vision on who you are, what you're about, and connecting that with your heart, allows you to be in synchronicity. And when you're in synchronicity, you can only really be, You can get the most out of synchronicity when you're in trust, and trusting in yourself, trusting in the universe, trusting the plan, trusting that there's everything for a reason. And that's the cycle that you're going through. Right. And as you work through each of those, you're getting to this place now where, okay, and so the last part of your conversation leaned more over to, you started to now not trust the process. You're not trusting that what you're reading and the amount that you're reading is enough. That you need to have more, you need to have different. Trust that it'll show up at the time you need to show up. You'll get the intuition to read that one page that you needed to read out of one book out as opposed to the other when you need it, and no sooner, no later. Right? It's when you start to go off of that trust that you start to go back into this doubt and this and those kinds of things. Just trust it. Right?
And this is where we go to what I was saying to Darcy earlier, is that that's where your subconscious mind is going, this is very different. This is very, I'm not sure about this. I'm going to pull you back to what I'm familiar with. And then you start to put the expectations on it. And this is what Gary's saying, is that you're putting those expectations on it. And those aren't probably the expectations that are really designed for you.
That's true. I have felt, yesterday I went for a walk. Every day I go for a walk. And yesterday during my walk, which is kind of my connection or meditation time,
Sure.
I remember telling myself, because I was starting to think should's and would's and could's. And I remembering stopping myself and saying, that's my old programming calling me back to the comfort, right? Of the known, even though it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's as you said, it's the old couch with the shape of my butt already that wants me there, right? So, but no, so I gave myself, that's another thing that I have been learning, is to give myself a lot of patience and compassion to myself, and understanding that, as you said, and you are completely right, Gary, that I need to, if I have 3 books in the middle of reading, is because that's the messages that I need to, and I need to follow what my body tells me to grab and open and continue reading, because that's what probably I need.
Until something else shows up. And then that's what the intuition is guiding you, right? And to stay open to the choices instead of locking into just those 3 or just this one, or having to get it all, because you may not need the whole book. Remember that, right? You may only need certain aspects of the book before what you need is done.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you for that.
I mean, look at the synchronicity of the first book. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Right when you needed it, there it was. And you're like, and I mean, the story you said, it's just like, oh my gosh, that's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now, as Gary said, now all of a sudden now you started to discount that, when you should actually revel in it. And just like, this is amazing. I want more of this. I want more of this synchronicity.
But
and
you know what?
It's there. Sometimes that synchronicity has been there for a long time, and it's just been tapping at you. Tap, tap, and you're not paying attention. Then it's like, hello.
Yeah, and then
hello.
Yeah.
And then exactly. And then okay, you're not going to listen to me. So smash.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what the heck? But look at the growth. All of a sudden now you were just like this, and maybe like this, and then boom, you just straight up, because you kind of woke up. And I'm not crazy about that particular terminology, but you just like, wow, you became aware.
Yeah.
And now look what
Louisa, you became an example.
Yeah.
Right. So you said that, the kids and stuff like that and people around you, by you going through this, you become an example of going through those things and showing up on the light side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right? And it's amazing. The synchronicities, another one that it was very obvious, and it was like, I was like, wow. And it reinforces me the belief that I was doing the right thing, is that before, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I remember my brother, who lives in Mexico City, where I'm from, he told me, oh, I'm for a year, I have been taking cold showers, and I have been following this method of this guy, Wim Hof. That's his name.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And he shared me a video where this guy shows you how to hold your breath for 30 seconds, then 1 minute, and then 1 minute and a half.
Right.
So, and my brother told me that helped me a lot. And I never opened the warm water or the hot water in the shower. It's amazing. And I say, well, I will watch the video. I'm not sure about the shower yet, but I will watch the video. And I remember watching the video and giving a chance. And I started doing that for a couple of weeks. And I learned to hold my breath for 1.5 minutes easily with that.
Yeah.
And I remember then I started my radiation therapy for my situation. And I remember that the oncologist told me, you know what, because it's on your left side and it's close to your heart, I will need you to hold your breath as long as you can. And I say, now I can hold it for 1.5 minutes. And he was like, and he told me seriously. And I say, yeah. And I was crying honestly when that happened to me, because I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was so eye-opening for me. It was so touch. It was like, yeah.
So when you were training yourself to hold your breath, were you able to hold your breath that long for the very first time?
No.
No, so it was a little at a time?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how the shower process works too. You don't just walk in and turn on the cold water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm working on that. Some people can do that. Okay, some people can. I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I was born in northern Minnesota. Okay, so we have a very high Norwegian and Finnish population, and all of the lakes. Minnesota is known for the land of 10,000 lakes, because there really are. There's more than 10,000 lakes. They're everywhere, and all those lakes have little tiny saunas around them. You know what a sauna is? A sauna. So it's kind of like a small little room, a small little cabin, and it's got a fire in it, and you put rocks on the
sauna. Yeah.
Okay, so it heats it up. And part of that tradition is you sit in the sauna in wintertime. You sit in the sauna, and then once you are completely, sweating and you're just like, okay, I'm maxed out, you go jump into the ice water in the lake.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But up here in Canada, what we do is
if you do it, boom, right away, super hot and super cold, you're kind of like, I'll never do this again. So you have to work your way into it. So the shower method is kind of the same. This is like, that's, just to do it from the very first time, you're going to go, the shock to your system is like, I don't care for this at all and such. But
here in Canada, what we do in wintertime is people will have hot tubs on their deck, right, on the back deck, and they'd have the hot tub, and they'll be sitting in the hot tub while it's snowing, and they jump in and jump out and jump in and jump out, and they jump into the snow, and so.
Metabolically, it's very good for you. It stimulates the vagus nerve, and that's where you get the best results. So there's Wim Hof he's a master at it.
He's pretty exceptional, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm starting with the cold showers at the end of my shower. It's not super hot. And at the end, I'm just for 30 seconds or so, how I feel comfortable.
And then the next day it's 40 seconds and 45 seconds. I mean, that's how it works. Exactly the same.
Last minute, what I do is I gradually move it down. So I end on cold and stay there for as long as I can.
Yeah. And there are some days that I just allow myself, say, today I'm not in the mood, so I'm just okay.
Yeah,
that's great. All right, Carolyn, I know we invited you before, but we're inviting you again to come in and join for any chat. We have about 8 more minutes before we sign off for the rabbit hole today, and we're open to going after that, but officially we're set for 8 more minutes. Did you have anything? Do you want to in the chat, text-wise, or jump on audio? If not, that's okay. Totally. We appreciate.
So, Luisa, let me ask you what was that first book? What was the name of that first book that you found?
It's How Your Mind Can Heal Your Body.
Okay. And
And
who's the author?
I started, it's curious because I started reading it because I listened to this guy. He was invited at the podcast, and he's Scottish, and I really and he's very funny, and actually he's all around kindness. So his vibe, his voice, his attitude, I felt like he was very funny, and he's a scientist that he turned into this thing because he was working on the research of medicine and drugs for cancer and schizophrenia, other stuff. I don't remember exactly what. And then he was working on a very big laboratory that was doing that when they performed placebos, and with the medicine and testing.
Right.
And then he realized that placebos were working. So he was very curious about how the mind can produce your own healing. So he went that way. But when I was listening to him, he was very funny the way that he was talking about that. And I was more curious about because my son, I had one son, he's 17 now, but back then he was 16, 15, almost 16. And all his peers around were like trying vaping and very curious about stuff. And, here in Washington, weed is legal. So they were, and I was trying to learn more about that stuff, how our mind and our body to have balance. So I can talk with him more and provide him more with information in order to make smart decisions towards his body and whatever. That's why I started, not because I was looking for myself per se. And then during and then during the way, I was like, wow. And then he started in his book talking about a situation with patients with cancer, how he, with researchers, they testify how tumors can shrink just with the power of your mind and sending your body to help you out and reinforcing that. I mean, it's not, as he said there, it's not like a magic thing. It's not like it's all the time happening, but it helps a lot. And that's when I decided, thanks to this guy, when I got my diagnosis, I will be very honest, the first couple of days, I was in the mode of, why me? Seriously, this is the only thing that I was, overall that I'm going through. But then I changed my mindset and I started to realize that that was a calling. My body was trying to tell me that something wasn't right. So I changed my mindset, and that I can say helped me a lot in how things started evolving. And I didn't need chemotherapy. That was super lucky for me. So that kind of stuff, I can believe that it's because in some way, because of my mindset helped me to.
%, yeah, not in some way. Absolutely, it was a part of it. I like I said, I have a background in hypnotherapy. I had a client one time who had come in and she was working with me with weight loss stuff, and she was getting great results of weight loss. And then she went to do her yearly checkup at her doctor, and they did scans and all that kind of stuff that they did. And she had come to me and she says, oh my gosh, my doctor told me that I've got spots in my breast and and they're really concerned about it, and they want to have me back, and is there anything we can do? And I said, well, we can see if your body's ready for the change and for the transformation, for sure. So we did I think we did 1 or 2 hypnotic processes. It wasn't much. We had 1 or 2 hypnotic processes where we trained her to go in and visualize the healing and the repairing of those cells that were damaged. 2 weeks later, she went back to the doctor. They scanned. They said, well, we must have made a mistake in our initial diagnostic because there's nothing there.
Wow. I read another book connected with these other synchronicities. I came across another book from Anita Morjani. She's a person that she got lymphoma, and she was stage 4 lymphoma, and she was literally in coma. She was dying, and she said that she actually, the name of the book is Dying to Be Me. And it's very good book. And she was going through lymphoma everywhere, with a lot of tumors everywhere in his body and her body. And then she she died. I mean, I do this because that's what she's alive, right? So she died, and she said, I can feel myself out of my body, and I can realize where all this problem in my body was coming from. And I came back, and she said, I remember that because you mentioned the 2 weeks, and she said that in a matter of weeks, all the lymphoma went away. And she's, since then she wrote this book, and then she has been talking about her experience, and it's amazing because that works. I mean, it's I don't know, it's part of the mystery of life.
That's for sure. And more than the mind,
not a mystery though, Lisa. It's not a mystery.
Yeah.
That's see, that's programming. It's
well, that's true.
You know, the human body can do so much.
Yeah.
But a lot of times our programming, I'll give you an example. I had a friend who his father had tinnitus. Do you know what tinnitus is? It's when there's a constant ringing in the ear.
Yeah.
And it had gotten to the point where he was just dropping to the ground. And so my friend was telling me this. And I'm like, you know, I said, I've heard where you can cure that with acupuncture. And so I sent him to my acupuncturist that I use. And he went for, I think, 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and it was gone. Okay. So then I happened to, just like 6 or 7 weeks later, I happened to run into him. I'm like, hey, I heard that you had some great success in your tinnitus. It's gone. And he goes, yeah, but you know, I don't really think it was the acupuncture. Cure that with acupuncture. And I just called him on that right then. I won't say it over in the recording what I said, but I just kind of called BS on it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Seriously? I said, you've had this for decades.
Be grateful.
You go through a process and it disappears, and you're telling me that wasn't what caused it? You know, because he had this programming that it should have been something else. It should have been an actual medical procedure, or it should have been a pill or a shot or whatever the case. It was just his programming started taking over. And that's how a lot of us are. Now this was a long time ago. So I would say in this day and age, with what I've learned with something like your story and such, I would maybe have even gone with a different solution to see if he could have done it, you know, without even having an external stimulant. But, you know, the acupuncture, I'm a huge believer in acupuncture. But this is, again, it's kind of that same thing, is that all of a sudden it just pops up. It's like, well, I'm not sure if it was really this. It's like, no, it was that. It just was.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That was great to hear your story.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing.
Oh, yeah. I'm very glad to meet you guys, because it seems like you completely are into what I'm learning, and you're way above, probably, well, for sure, because you have way more time and experiencing all this. And I'm excited to continue growing and continue learning. There's a lot of stuff to continue discovering and doing.
Yeah,
well,
and that's why we bring it.
It's continuing to grow as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we do that every day. So it's, you know, there's no limit to knowledge.
Yeah. We probably do more learning than our students do, for sure, because we're always looking at what's there, what's new, what's shifting, and what we can bring to the table for you guys. And, you know, again, that's why we bring different topics every week on the live streams, right? It's so that you get the opportunity to kind of get different aspect, different view, and different things are going to resonate with you at different times, right? So, and you know, we believe synchronistically you'll get exactly what you need, and you'll show up when you need to show up. We'd like it if you show up every week, obviously, but but we also understand that's just the way the nature of things is that people will get what they need when they need, so that this all works for them, not for us, because we have our expectations and our ideals, but we also respect that the universe is going to do what's needed for the universe, right? And to keep us on the path of staying on the edge and bringing those things like this presentation of the rabbit hole to the group and to the community. So we really appreciate you showing up today and joining and being here. Carolyn, we didn't hear from you. That's okay, but we appreciate you being here. And, you know, hopefully
We're gonna get you next week.
Yeah, we'll get to you next week. Yeah, hopefully you got something out of this, and when you're ready to, you know, jump in and join in, you're totally welcome to. There's no judgment at all in whether you do or how you do it. We're just glad you're here and glad you're getting something from it. So, so I think that's it for this week's rabbit hole. And we will see you all on Thursday for the live stream. We will be posting more upcoming dates. I did notice someone in the chat had asked about the 3 Success live stream we did yesterday. We will be posting more information on upcoming dates for that. And you know, if you're chiming into this and you missed that, we are doing our next version of the 7-day success program. And you know, it's called The Art of Designing Your Future, Your Reality. And it's a 7-day experience where we're teaching you how to really hack all aspects of your reality so that you show up into what you want on a day-to-day basis.
Very powerful.
And the stream we did yesterday was an intro to that. It was we cover 3 success hacks that you can take away right from that, and then we explain what the 7-day process is like. And
I mean, Gary, really, yesterday was more like a master class.
Totally, yeah,
it really
totally.
Was. He came away, he's like, oh my God, this is it was like 4 live streams packed together.
Yeah.
Because we gave them hacks and we gave them ideas, we gave them techniques. I mean, it was really fulfilling.
Yeah, and we had some interaction in there. Yeah, so it was really good in that way. And so we will be posting up new times slots for when those will be available. Those will not be replayed anywhere. We're not going to have, at least right now, we don't have plans to put those in the replay tab or anything like that. We want people on those so we get some interaction and we can have them actually do the activities with us and do the processes with us while we're there, because it's very interactive in that way as well. So so we will be posting that. Because someone did ask about that, I just letting you know that's we'll be posting those links for how to register for that as well. All right. Yeah, so we're here next. Well, we're deciding on if it's going to be next Friday or on the weekend. So we'll let everybody know what the next rabbit hole is, and but we will be doing it weekly, and we might try a weekend time slot just to give more people, so they don't have to worry about, you know, speaking up when they're maybe at work. Because I know some people watch us at work and they tell us they watch at work. I can't say anything, but I'd love to, you know, sit there watching in the background.
That's what Carolyn's doing. Carolyn, we figured it out.
You're at work and you don't want to.
You're at work and you're just listening.
So yeah, so we're gonna try some different time slots, maybe on the weekend, to maybe give people opportunity to, you know, jump on even more, because we really love the interaction and the conversation as it goes, and hearing the stories too of what's going on with our members. So we really appreciate that.
Every week somebody comes on and shows us, gives us a story or shows us a technique that they've learned. And it's just, I mean, again, we're always learning.
Yeah.
We learn as much from our students as they learn from us. So it's really cool. That's it.
All right. So once again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on our next stream.
Thank you much.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.